Hello everyone, my name is Sam Souter. Thank you for joining me on my channel today. We are going to be doing something a little bit different than we've ever done here on my channel if you're a weekly watcher. I am a newer reader. I have my reading glasses on right now for this video. I've never done anything like this before, and the reason is I've been reading for about 2 years. Consistently. Like, I would say I've been a reader for 2 years, but I didn't feel like I've read enough books yet to give you guys a solid enough review or like be confident enough to give you guys recommendations. I do feel like I'm at that point now. Hence my bookshelf right here. If you're the type of person who has a job where you're on a screen all day, maybe it's a computer, maybe it's your phone. I know I am looking at my phone literally 8 hours a day, and I just realized that unwinding for me, TV wasn't doing it. Like, I wasn't getting relaxed from watching TV because it was just like another screen. So I had to find a different hobby, and that's how I started reading. I really fell in love with it. It took me a while to get into it. So if you're someone who is like, I don't see the appeal, I totally was with you. I was a student who like literally cliff notes every single book ever. I had never really read before or enjoyed reading. I found one book that I actually was excited about. I was so nerdy for it. I couldn't wait to pick it back up again. I could not put it down. And I am going to give you guys a list today of 10 books that I think are easy beach reads. I just like think it's really cool that reading is like trending right now for like the younger generation. I think that we obviously spend way too much time on our phone. It's a really healthy hobby. I think that it's really sharpened my mind a little bit. It's true when people say that reading makes you smarter, even if you're just reading like romance or something, you're picking up different words in your vocabulary and things like that. I also think that reading really has helped me be more in tune with my emotions, because when you're reading what someone's feeling, you're like, oh my god, I've felt that before, but I didn't have the words for it. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I'm not the best at expressing myself. So reading honestly has kind of helped me with that too. But anyway, without further ado, I thought this week we would do 10 beach reads. These are in no particular order except for this one, because The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, this was the book that got me into reading. Taylor Jenkins Reid, I think, is a really great author if you're a newer reader, and if you're not a newer reader but you've never read Taylor Jenkins Reid, highly recommend. I know a ton of my friends love this author. I had also lived in California previously, so this is based out in LA. There's a lot of really fun things that happen in here, and it's definitely more of a romance, but it's also a little bit more action-y. So I really enjoyed this book, and I think it's a really easy beach read as well. After reading that, I was also really hooked on Taylor Jenkins Reid, so I decided to also go for Daisy Jones and the Six. I loved this book. It's about a band, and I also watched the series. Keep that in mind. Some people love when there's a movie or a show about the book they're reading, and some people aren't that big of a fan because they pictured it a little bit differently. I definitely pictured the characters differently, but I thought they did a really good job when they made the show. Also, I'm not gonna say I'm an expert in any regard when it comes to reading. However, I am in 2 book clubs, okay? So I'm in a Philly book club and a New York City book club, so I read at least 2 books a month, which if you would have asked me last year or any other year, that would have been insane. Last year, when I first started to try to really get into reading, I made it a goal of mine to read 12 books, and this year I think I've already surpassed like 20 or something like that. Okay, book number 3 that I'm going to tell you guys about is actually called The Guncle. I have never seen this book really talked about, but I went to a local bookstore and I told her about the kind of books that I was into, and she said that she thought that this would be a really good read for me, and it really is. Oh my gosh, it's about a gay uncle. It's super witty. It's really funny. I really enjoyed it, and it's just like a heartfelt, heartwarming little read. It just like made me smile. I don't mind a beach read with some smut in it. Like, of course, like that makes it a little bit spicy. It makes it a little bit more interesting. However, when a book's like all smut, if you are on vacation with like your family or something, or it's just like you're in public, some people find that to be a little bit awkward to read. So I definitely think there's some in the books that I'm talking to you guys about, but it's not like completely based around that either. But The Guncle, oh my god, so wholesome, so cute. Loved the characters, and I got through this really quickly. I read this on the plane, like half of it probably, and there is a second one of this, and I kind of want to read that. Next, The Girl Abroad. I really liked this book. I read this for my New York City book club recently, and all the girls had really good reviews on it. I saw this actually when I was in an airport, and I was in between 2 other books, and I didn't end up picking this one up, and I regretted it. So it was so cool that it ended up being my book club book a couple weeks after that. So I really love this. It's about a girl who is obviously studying abroad, and it has to do with people around that age in London. And I don't know what it is about English people and books, but I love reading a book that's based in London. They're just like more fun. They're a little more cool. I really like reading like the English dialect, and it's always like pretty fun. So I really enjoyed this book, and that's saying a lot because normally a thick book to me is pretty intimidating, but I thought this one was great. Next up, we have Down the Drain by Julia Fox. I decided to include a few biography books in here because I know that some people prefer those. I have so much respect for this woman after reading this book. She has lived so many lives. I'm someone that's kind of into pop culture, so I think it's really interesting to read about a figure or a celebrity or a person of interest like Julia Fox, and just to see like their upbringing and where they came from, because a lot of times, like if you've read Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey, a lot of times they come from very, very, very different backgrounds. So it's really interesting to read about. I really highly recommend this book. This is another one that I really couldn't put down, and like I said, I'm not the biggest reader, so for me that's huge. I rated this really, really high. I keep a list in my notes of what I rate my books. I'll write it down below. This, I think I said an 8 or 9. So if you are a Julia Fox fan in any regard, this woman, she's hilarious, she's very intuitive, she's very interesting, and I would read this again. Okay, next up is The Golden Couple. So I actually read this for my Philly book club, and I included this because it's not so much romance, it's a little bit more mystery, there's some action in it, and it's also based on the perspective of a therapist, which I think is really, really interesting because you get to see how someone else is processing the thoughts and feelings of somebody else that's in the book. So as a psychology major, I really enjoyed this. A lot of twists and turns, and if you're not someone who's so into the like Colleen Hoover type of romance book and you think that's like kind of corny or cheesy, this isn't corny or cheesy, I'm telling you. Highly recommend. Also, sorry if you can hear my fan and my AC going, it's so hot here, so you know, just trying to stay cool in the summer. Okay, next up, another book club read. This is called The 7-Year Slip, and it's based in New York City. I don't know, any book that's either based in LA, New York, or London, which a lot of books are, I think are just like pretty good. That or a cozy little beach town are my favorite types of settings for reading, is what I'm realizing. I've never really read or dove into the fantasy realm of things, which is why a lot of these books are more romance based, but this has a little bit of something in there. I don't want to give any spoilers, sorry. I feel like some of these synopsises of these books aren't too informative, but I don't want to give anything away, so it's like, how much do you say? I like this one a lot. Just a good beach read. This is a good beach bag book. Archer's Voice. This book was so good, guys. This is one of those ones that's in a dreamy little beach town, and I just really fell in love with the characters in this. This is a really great beach read as well. If you read any of these, please let me know, and if you liked it or not, because people have very drastic different opinions when it comes to reading. Also, if you are on I'll put my Goodreads down here. I literally have 2 followers on Goodreads. I'm terrible at Goodreads, but Goodreads is a really good resource if you're trying to figure out what you want to read or how other people felt about it. But I will say, some of our book club books, we have been looking at Goodreads and they have crazy good reviews, and we're like, how is that possible? So anyway, next book. I love this woman. I think Pam Anderson is so awesome, and I really, really loved her even more after reading her book. She's so educated and she's very misunderstood in the media, I think, and this just gives you such a good inside look into her brain and the beauty on the inside of her, and I just really enjoyed this. It gives a whole background of everything about her as well, just like the Julia Fox one, and like I said about Green Lights, it's just so interesting to see how people who are really established and famous in the media and all that come to be, in my opinion. So I really, really enjoyed reading this, and it's a shorter read. It's not too bad. This woman is a beautiful writer, Pamela Anderson. It's called Love Pamela, and I really was really happy that I bought this one. Okay, and then I don't have a book for number 10 because it's in between 2 for me. I would say I have mentioned Green Lights a couple times in here, and I listened to the audio version of the book. I don't know if I consider audiobooks to be actually reading. You can fight me on that, but if you want to do an audiobook, Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey, because he's the one narrating it, is so good. I've listened to it probably twice, and I'm sure when you read it, it's just as good. So definitely that. Or I also loved Carrie Soto is Back. I read that when we were in Greece, and literally like within a few days it was done. That's a little bit more sporty if you're into sports a little bit more, and it's like a father-daughter relationship that was like kind of cool. So I don't know, guys. I never really thought I'd be doing like a book review or anything like that, but I figured that I've been reading pretty often, so I wanted to do a little review like this. I don't know, guys. I like never saw myself to be like a book reviewer or anything like that, but I just wanted to give you guys a little synopsis of what I think is a really good summer or beach read, or just an easy read. It doesn't have to be a certain time of year. I think these are just chill, easy, mindless reads that like put you in a pretty good mood, in my opinion. So yeah, that's all I got for right now. If you like the bookworm type of Sammy, then let me know. If you want something else from me, also leave it down below in the comments. I will see you guys next time, and thank you for joining me this week.